BRICS, comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has often been touted as a powerful alternative to Western-led alliances, aiming to reshape the global economic and political order. However, despite their shared rhetoric, BRICS is not as united or influential as it may seem. Here's why the organization is weaker than many believe. Number 1. A vision that didn't come from within. BRICS is unique among international organizations because it didn't start with a shared vision or coordinated plan from its member countries.
The BRIC story has kind of changed my professional life because it has become, it turned out to be so far much bigger than we thought it would be 10 years ago.
The idea came from Jim O'Neill, an economist at Goldman Sachs, who coined the acronym BRIC in a 2001 paper predicting the rise of Brazil, Russia, India, and China as global economic powers. You will notice that the S is missing, and that's because the paper was published before South Africa joined. However, without an organic foundation rooted in common goals or values among its members, BRICS lacks the unified purpose that underpins other alliances, such as NATO or the European Union. Instead of a cohesive mission, it has a loose collection of countries with differing agendas. Number 2. Deep-seated rivalries among key members. One of BRICS' biggest internal challenges lies in the serious rivalries between some of its major members, particularly China and India. These two nations have long-standing territorial disputes and compete for regional influence in Asia, which has led to open tensions and occasional clashes along their borders. Some incidents have taken place within the last 12 months. October 2024, India's army chief said that while India and China had tackled the low-hanging fruits of their border disputes, they now faced more complex challenges. He said the situation along the border remained tense and uncertain. Quote, "It's stable, but it is not normal, and it is sensitive." Russia has traditionally considered Central Asia within its sphere of influence, but China's economic presence has grown substantially in the region, largely through the Belt and Road Initiative. This has led to subtle competition, as China's investments and economic influence in countries like Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan threaten Russia's traditional dominance. China has become Latin America's largest trading partner, which has benefited countries like Brazil. However, there are concerns in Brazil about the growing trade imbalance, as Brazil primarily exports raw materials to China while importing manufactured goods. This has raised fears about deindustrialization and dependency on commodity exports. This mutual distrust fundamentally weakens BRICS' potential for strategic cohesion. Adding to this tension, BRICS has recently expanded to include countries with their own rivalries. For instance, the United Arab Emirates and Iran have clashing interests in the Middle East. Egypt and Ethiopia face off over Nile River rights. These tensions virtually guarantee that BRICS members will continue to find themselves holding starkly opposing positions on significant issues, making it hard to establish a consistent agenda. Number 3. Trade is centered on China, not among themselves. Despite the goal of creating an integrated economic bloc, BRICS countries primarily trade with China, not with each other. China's economic dominance within the group is underscored by the fact that it's the largest trading partner for most of the other members. However, this reliance on China as an economic partner undermines the concept of a mutually beneficial trading bloc. To make matters worse, some members have imposed tariffs on Chinese goods to protect their domestic industries. India and Brazil, for instance, have levied tariffs on certain Chinese products, showing that trade policies within BRICS are far from aligned. Number 4. Weaknesses of individual members. The individual challenges faced by BRICS members also undermine the organization's strength. For example, Ethiopia, a newer member, struggles with poverty and is landlocked, with limited access to global trade routes. Additionally, the country is grappling with internal ethnic conflicts and a fragile political landscape. Egypt often experiences economic instability, which tends to worsen in the absence of authoritarian rule. Its economy faces inflation and dependency on foreign aid, limiting its contributions to the bloc. Other new partner states such as Cuba, Uganda, and Uzbekistan face substantial limitations that restrict their ability to contribute meaningfully to the group. Cuba has been dependent on aid from larger partners for decades, first from the Soviet Union and later from allies like Venezuela. It doesn't have the economic strength or autonomy to participate actively in BRICS without external assistance, and its inclusion would likely increase the bloc's financial burden rather than adding value. Uganda, being landlocked, faces high costs for transporting goods and limited access to international markets. Poor infrastructure limits its trade potential and restricts Uganda's capacity to leverage BRICS trade networks, which rely on larger economies with robust export capabilities. Uzbekistan, like Uganda, is landlocked, but it is also surrounded by other landlocked countries, which significantly raises transport costs and reduces trade efficiency. Its geographical isolation limits its integration into international trade flows and hinders its economic potential within the bloc. It remains economically reliant on a narrow export base. With weaker economies and political instability in play, BRICS is hindered by its members' limitations. Even Russia, which stands as one of its pillars, is expected to come out of the Ukraine war, far weaker than it was when BRICS was originally conceived. A war of attrition doesn't come cheap. By the time it's over, Russia will have lost hundreds of thousands of young adults to the war, plus millions who have left in order to avoid conscription. Add to this billions of dollars of used-up military equipment, economic losses due to sanctions, and valuable infrastructure damaged by Ukrainian drone attacks. Number 5. Divergent interests and expansions threaten unity. The diversity of BRICS member countries brings a wide array of economic, political, and cultural differences, making consensus difficult. Expanding BRICS to include new members may seem like a way to increase influence, but it also amplifies the challenges of alignment. Without one dominant member to set a clear direction, as the US does in NATO or Russia in the CSTO, the organization is more likely to stall on critical issues, with diverse voices pulling in different directions. Expansion could result in paralysis rather than strength, with members unable to agree on unified policies. China, Vietnam, and Turkey may push for policies that will make oil cheaper, while the UAE and Russia may want just the opposite. Brazil and India may seek agreements with countries in North America and Western Europe, while Russia and China might feel okay with more confrontational postures. Number 6. China's economic struggles weaken the bloc's biggest member. As the largest and most economically influential BRICS member, China has often been seen as the backbone of the organization. However, China's current economic challenges threaten to destabilize this perception. China is dealing with an economic slowdown exacerbated by a demographic crisis and an aging population. A real estate crisis with major property developers facing insolvency and a housing market downturn. Setbacks in the Belt and Road Initiative, with several participating countries unable to pay back loans, creating financial strain for China. As China's economy weakens, so does BRICS' ability to present itself as a rising alternative to Western economic alliances. Rather than lifting up the bloc, China's struggles may weigh it down, diminishing its influence on the global stage. While BRICS may have potential on paper, its internal rivalries, trade imbalances, the weaknesses of individual members, and reliance on China limit its power. Expansion only adds to the complexities, making consensus even harder to reach. As it stands, BRICS is not as united or effective as many think, and these limitations call into question its viability as a cohesive, powerful bloc in the future. This is Latinometry. Subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss more interesting videos about Latin America and the world. Please like and share this video, and thanks for watching.